Fun fact, guys. As much as I love doing fabrication projects and building cars, there are a couple things about this that I absolutely despise. I just hate doing. Number one, I hate body work. It's just tedious. I don't have the patience for it, and I do it because I have to, but it sucks. Number two, welding thin wall steel pipe. I don't mind thick stuff. I don't mind making turbo hot sides out of like Schedule 40. I don't mind, aluminum even. But thin wall stuff like this, I just don't enjoy it. I don't know. It's just a pain in the ass for me. But I don't think too many of you come to this channel to listen to me complain. So I'm just going to shut up and get back to work. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Ran One Parked. I am here in my shop with the 76 Landcruiser, which we are circling back to today. Now, first and foremost, this thing has been named. It's important. Everyone has to name their projects. My wife and I are big Green Bay Packers fans, football fans, so this thing is going to forever be known as Jordy the 40. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you're probably not a Green Bay Packers fan. Anyway, I told you guys in the last video, I think, that I was going to kind of step back and take a look at this thing and see how I wanted to proceed. Now, I always tell people that it doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason for how you start a project like this, and I still think that there doesn't. You can really start anywhere. And I've built a lot of cars, and I've started them in all kinds of different places. In this situation, I think what I want to do next is get it running. The reason why I want to get it running is because I truly don't know anything about the health or general history of this engine. It's a 4.8 truck block that I bought off Facebook Marketplace. And to be fair, I've started a few projects that way and they've all turned out fine. These things usually are perfectly fine. But I don't know that for sure, so I don't really want to build around it unless I do know. Also, I already made a standalone harness for this thing, and I've made a couple of them before, but I've also had problems with them before, so I want to make sure that's all sorted out too. So in order to get this thing running, we have a bunch of systems we have to sort out. We need a fuel system. We need probably a cooling system. Not really, but it depends on how long I want to run it. We got to wire it up. We got to take care of some of the emission stuff that's going to be going away because this is a classic and doesn't have to go through emissions. We're going to need an exhaust. And that is where we're going to start today, is with the exhaust. Now, I have a couple routes I can go, so let me just show you that really quick. Now, I think I mentioned when I was walking around this thing the first time that it has shorty headers in it. These were leftovers. They were on the RX-7 before I went turbo. It was NA for a little while, and these were on it. So these are like, I think Edelbrock actually headers. I don't know. I got them used anyway. But they already have the emission stuff deleted. EGR and stuff is gone. Now, I have a couple options here. I could go like conventional wisdom and go down into the frame rail and go straight back all the way with like 2.5-inch stainless pipe or whatever. That's what I'm going to use. Or I could flip these things around and come out over the frame rail and down that way. Now, I like the second solution because it keeps the exhaust out of the way of everything. And generally speaking, when you start a build like this, the first things you should do, you should keep them out of the way of the other things you know you have to do. For example, I know that front drive shaft has to run right up through that hole. So I don't want to put an exhaust pipe there right now before I've sorted out the front drive shaft situation. I'd rather put the exhaust in a place where I know nothing goes. Now I know if I turn this thing hard towards the passenger side and then go down and around under the body over here, under the rocker, nothing goes over there, and that is an easy solution. And then what you would do, obviously, in that situation is you would put a muffler under each rocker, and then you would dump it, out, I don't know, right here or something in front of the rear axle. In that situation, you would be stuck going with true duals, which are cool and sound cool and stuff. I do have a little bit of a concern about the noise. Now, on that side, that's no problem. It makes perfect sense. On this side, it actually seems more logical to run inside the frame rail. And the reason for that is just that, I don't know how well you can see it, but this header is pointed heavily towards the block side. It's not like canted out at all. So I'd have to do some work to get it around over the frame rail. So I got to make a decision on that. I could do it either way for sure. I mean, it would physically work either way. But no matter what we do, the first thing we have to do is take the front end off of this thing. Either way, I don't have any clearance issues with the fenders or any of that stuff. So I might as well just take it off, get it out of the way, and then we can start looking at it, a little more clearly. So I'm going to do that first. All right, guys, so we got her stripped down. Now I got pretty easy access to everything. And without the fenders on there, you can kind of see what I'm talking about, where on the passenger side, it'll be relatively easy to come out of here and then, you know, kind of bullhorn it like over the frame rail and then down under here. And conveniently enough, these body mounts have a big cutout in them for the pipe to go right through there. And then I'll just put a muffler under each side. In fact, I think I have one muffler on the Jeep that I'll probably take off so I can use it for mock-up on this, because I'll be using the same ones later. Now on the other side, like I was saying before, it's going to be a little bit more of a hurdle just because this side is really, really tucked in. So realistically, what I might have to do is come down a little and then come like back up and over the frame and then down and under the same way to get under there. But I still think it's probably the best way to do it, just for clearance of other systems when we're all done with this. Now, I went through my LS parts bin to try to find some stuff I need for this and came up with some good finds. So, brand new set of intake manifold gaskets, brand new set of exhaust manifold gaskets, coils, brackets, and wires, which this didn't have before. For some reason, it didn't come with them. And also a brand new in the bag fuel rail adapter to go to -6 AN, which is going to be very useful when we go to do the fuel system. So that's nice. Also, when I pulled the old ends off, because the guy I got this from just cut them, so I just yanked them off a few minutes ago, the gas smells like downright ancient varnish. So probably going to have to go through and clean the rails a little bit and stuff too, because that stuff really messes with things. So next thing we're going to do is, I'm probably not going to be able to just weld V-bands right onto those manifolds. What I'm probably going to have to do is like extend them a little bit and then put V-bands on them. But either way, we're putting stainless steel V-bands on them because I hate like 3-bolt flange manifolds. Just V-bands are so much better. So we're going to pull them off. I'm going to weld up all the existing like EGR ports and things that were done kind of shoddy last time. And then we're going to put V-bands on them. All right, so we got our first V-band on this passenger side one. Also welded up the EGR port a little bit better. It's still kind of ugly, but it's better than it was before. Now, this is the one I said was going to be the much better side. And the reason for that is it's just not tucked in so tight to the block. In fact, it's already kind of aimed at the frame rail. So if you put this next piece on here, something like this, which I've already made, then you come up with something that's pretty usable. You know, so you clamp that on, and then you can just put like a 90 on the end coming back out and over the frame rail, and then just 90 down and come right at that hole under the bracket that holds the body mount. Then we'll pretty much be off to the races on this side. In fact, I might even roll it out away a little bit, kind of like that, so it's kind of like aiming over the frame rail, just because I know that I'm going to have to run a loom of wiring down there to get to the starter eventually. So the more I can plan right now to kind of keep that away from the exhaust, the better. So basically what we're going to do here is we're just going to create enough exhaust to get down from here, out, over the frame, down, around, and through there. And then we're just going to leave it just like that, no mufflers or anything yet, because that's enough to start it. It's enough to put our O2 sensors in, and it's enough to get an idea of where we're going. So let me get this thing clamped in, and then I'll start cutting the next pieces, and we'll see if we can wrap this side up right now. All right, guys, so this side is pretty much done. It comes down just like I wanted to, barely clears the frame, but it does clear plenty of room. And then it comes down here. The only thing missing is it should have a 90 on it and go under there. But I didn't put that on for two reasons. One, I'm running out of manual bent tubing. And two, I don't really need it to start up the engine, so I can always put that on later. Now, onto the other side. And like I said before, the biggest problem is going to be the fact that this side, the flange is pointed way more inboard. It's not really angled out. So I'm going to have to get out of there and then pull like a 180 and come back up and over the frame and then down. So that's going to be a little bit difficult. I have a piece right here that might work pretty well for it. I don't know, it comes, you know, would wind up being something like that. But I don't know, it gets awful close to the tranny housing and also gets really close to the frame, and I don't want vibrations. Also, like I said before, I'm running dangerously low on stainless steel manual bent tubing. So I have a feeling there's going to be lots of pie cuts in my future today, which sucks because I hate doing pie cuts. But we're going to have to get after it. So I'm going to start cutting that flange off and then we'll see where we're at. All right, guys, so we're almost done. Last thing we have to do here is throw these O2 bungs in, which are right here. And there's a couple rules here, or guidelines at least. You want your O2 sensor to be at least, or roughly 18 inches from any particular cylinder. So on the passenger side, my shortest one would be this one. It's close enough, good enough. And the other thing is you want it to be like 6 to 8 inches from the collector, which obviously that I have right here. And the most important thing probably is you want to make sure that when you eye up your actual bung to where you want to weld it, you check with an actual sensor to make sure you have clearance. Now, I've been on the losing end of this situation and built these systems and then realized that I can't really fit the O2 sensor there. So what I have right here is, unfortunately, I don't have an LS sensor, which is a little bit longer than this typically, but this is a spare wideband Holley sensor from the RX-7. So just eye it up and make sure it'll actually physically sit in that location without hitting like the body or anything else. And then you're good to go. Now on this side, I have plenty of room to do what I want to do. On this side, I should also, as you can see, I already have a bung kind of sitting there. It's not welded in, but I have all the room in the world right there. I easily have, 6 or 8 inches from the collector and a long way from the cylinder. So that's probably going to be where we're going to put them. So let's get these things welded up. All right, so we are done. So we got O2 sensor bungs in, all welded up. Everything looks really good. Actually, it came out better than I thought it would. The only thing that isn't finished, I guess, is this side. I did run out of mandrel bends eventually. So this side still needs 45 on the end of it so it can come up and through that way, and then I can put the muffler under the floorboard, but that's no big deal. I can just order a 45. The other side I did end up finishing. I put my last 90 on there, and it goes up under the rocker panel perfectly, so I can just put a muffler in here and we'll be good to go. I'm pretty excited to hear what the true duals sound like. That'll be interesting. So that's about it for today's video, guys. So remember, the goal is I want to get this thing running sooner rather than later so I can see what the health of the motor is. So we have a few things we have to do. So I don't know what the next video is going to be, but I assume it's either going to be some delete panels for some of the systems we're not going to use, EGR, evap, etc. Or maybe putting the fuel system together or getting the wiring sorted out. Those are going to be the three big things that I have to do before I can start this thing. I think I mentioned earlier in the video that it is already a standalone wiring harness, but we still got a good amount of work to do, and I can walk you guys through that wiring harness. So that's about it for today's episode. Don't forget to comment, like, hit that subscribe button because I have a bunch more videos on this thing coming. We're going to get it running in the next couple weeks. I'll see you guys in the next Ran One Parked.